Expedition 33 is one of the best RPGs I've played in the past few years. The ending in particular shook me to the core and has been on my mind for the last 2 weeks, so I knew I had to make a video to talk about it. What's up everyone? Big Dan here. I make videos about RPGs, and in this video, we're going to explore both endings to this game and decide once and for all what is the best ending to Expedition 33. I will present the pros and cons for both endings, and finally share which one I think is the better choice. This also serves as a kind of endings explained video if you're confused about anything or missed some details in the story. There will obviously be massive spoilers in this video, so if you haven't finished Expedition 33 yet, then I recommend bookmarking the video and returning once you do. So without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into the video. Let's take a moment to set up the ending to the game by briefly recapping some important things to consider. For the majority of Expedition 33's story, we've been trying to stop the Gommage, a death plague that wipes out the people of Lumiere. Our people long believed that the Paintress was the cause of the Gommage, but after finally reaching the monolith and confronting her, we learned that the real culprit behind this tragedy was her husband Renoir. One important thing to consider while looking at Expedition 33's story is that there is a distinction between the real world in Paris and the painted canvas world. The entire world the expedition traverses is actually a painted canvas world created by the Descendre family, particularly the grieving mother Aline, aka the Paintress, after the tragic death of her son, the real Verso, in a fire. The Gommage itself is a distorted manifestation of the real Renoir's attempts to force Aline to leave the canvas and confront her grief in the real world, even if it means destroying the painted world. Renoir would periodically wipe out the oldest creations within the canvas, and the Paintress would paint a warning on the monolith to those who would soon get Gommage. Maelle is eventually revealed to be Alicia, the real daughter of Renoir and Aline, who was accidentally repainted into the canvas world with her memories suppressed. The painted versions of Renoir and Verso she encounters are creations of Aline with their own motivations within the canvas. The painted Renoir, for instance, seeks to protect the Paintress, while the painted Verso, aware of his fabricated existence, desires to end the canvas world and allow the real family to grieve properly. After Maelle recovers her memories, she resolves to finish what the expedition started by stopping her father and saving the canvas. She also desires to stay within the canvas forever, as her life outside has become completely ruined by tragic events, namely the death of her brother Verso and her disfigurement in a house fire. So at the very end of the game, we're given a choice. Side with Maelle and save the canvas, or side with Verso and destroy it for the sake of the Descendre family. Let's take a look at our first option by siding with Maelle and saving the canvas. This is the first ending I experienced in Expedition 33, as I felt compelled to save Lumiere and the characters that I've grown to love throughout the course of the game. I can't just erase my bae Luna. There are some really compelling reasons for siding with Maelle. For starters, we've been fighting to save the people of Lumiere for the entire game. Sure, we didn't fully understand what was going on with the Paintress and Renoir, but our core mission was to stop the Gommage and save our people. Siding with Maelle allows us to fulfill that mission. On top of this, Alicia can gain a new lease on life by living as Maelle within the canvas. In the real world, she's a disfigured mute, weighed down by the grief of losing her brother and the potential she had in life. She feels like her life is essentially relegated to suffering forever, but within the canvas, she can speak and do all sorts of incredible things. She can even save loved ones she lost along the way, like Gustave and Sophie. Everyone gets to live happily ever after, right? So what's not to love about this ending? Well, it's not all sunshines and rainbows in Maelle's fantasy. For the people of Lumiere, death is no longer final, which seems great at first glance. Characters like Gustave and Sophie are resurrected, but now these characters essentially live as permanent playthings for Alicia. And we've already seen how much of a toll that took on Verso, as he spent decades caught in the consequences of the war between the two grieving parents. What really broke my heart about this ending was Verso's reaction after being defeated, as he begged Maelle to unpaint him and put him out of his misery.
Please, listen to me. Only you can do this. You can do this, please. Unpaint me. Unpaint me.
I just wanted to live this lifetime together. This lifetime that was stolen from us. Please. Bro. Please.
I don't want this life. Help me. Help me.
We also know that the painters who stay inside a canvas for too long experience negative consequences in the real world as their body withers away. So while Alicia may be happy indulging in the fantasy of being Maelle, in reality her body wastes away and her parents suffer her absence. Also, do you really think this peace we experience in Lumiere will last? How long will it be before Renoir returns to the painting to try and extract his daughter just like he did with Aline? Sure, he might have been swayed by Maelle's words in the moment to trust her to leave the painting on her own. But will he just watch his daughter waste away in the real world while she spends the rest of her life inside the Matrix? I don't think so, bro. Another thing to consider is that Alicia is still a child who may not fully comprehend the weight of her decision to remain within the canvas. She is weighed down by her grief and the life she lost to the fire, so she thinks she can never live a good life and feel good again in the real world. But perhaps with time, she'll come to grips with her new life and be able to move on. However, if she remains within the painting, this transformation becomes impossible. This Reddit comment really sums up this ending well. Maelle's ending illustrates people who have fallen in love with art and characters and getting forever lost in it. The fantasy never ends. This is essentially the blue pill ending to Expedition 33. Stay plugged into the Matrix and indulge in the fantasy forever. So let's take a look at our other option by siding with Verso and destroying the canvas. I like to call this the red pill ending to Expedition 33. Unplug from the Matrix, Alicia. It's time to wake up and confront reality. The primary motivation behind Verso's stance is to force the Desandra family, particularly Alicia and Aline, to process their grief over the death of the real Verso. The canvas, though a beautiful creation, is ultimately an escapist fantasy that prevents true healing. Destroying it compels them to face reality and begin a genuine grieving process, as shown in the epilogue where the family gathers at Verso's grave. If Alicia remains inside the canvas, she'll get to enjoy a fantasy with the people of Lumiere, but in reality, her body will wither and fade, and the Desandra family will be torn apart even more than they already have. Destroying the canvas provides the family with at least a glimmer of hope to forge a new life together and overcome their grief. Destroying the canvas also frees Verso's soul fragment from an eternity of toil painting within the canvas. I mean, look at bro.
I'm tired, boss.
Verso, no longer the center of the Desandra family's grief, can finally rest in this ending, and Alicia still retains her ability to paint. She can always paint a new canvas and indulge in the Matrix again when she's older. But this ending is also not without sacrifice. Most importantly, everyone within the canvas. It's heartbreaking watching Verso say goodbye to everyone.
I will miss you guys.
Imagine you are living in a simulation. You have your daily life, thoughts and feelings, struggles and hopes, just like an organic person would. And then one day you discover that your creators want to pull the plug because they can't handle their own lives in the real world while the simulation still exists. I'd be like, hey yo, don't delete me, bro. Go get some therapy or some shit, but you don't gotta data wipe me. By siding with Verso, you're essentially wiping out a bunch of sentient life. Even if that life is technically artificial, does that make it any less real? Does this unit have a soul? And sure, Aline or Alicia could always paint a new canvas, but the beings that exist within Lumiere, their memories, experiences, and feelings, can never truly be recreated, only imitated palely. We see this with the Gestrals that get resurrected in Lumiere. They come back in form, but not in substance. So even if wiping out the canvas creates an opportunity for the Desandra family to heal and move on, that opportunity comes at the expense of the people they created, which just doesn't sit right with me. But what if there was another way? A truly good ending to Expedition 33 would be for Alicia to leave the painting and return to the real world without destroying the canvas. That way, the people inside the canvas could continue to live their lives in peace, while Alicia takes the red pill and learns how to move on in the real world. However, this is not an option that the game presents us with. We're forced to make a difficult decision without having a truly good option to choose from. When push comes to shove, I ultimately prefer siding with Verso at the end of the game. When faced with a choice of drowning yourself in fantasy or confronting reality, I always prefer reality. That is where true growth and change can occur. Destroying the canvas gives the Desandra family a chance to heal and move on, finding new meaning in life and growing closer together. The final scene of this ending gives off a hopeful vibe, while the final moments of Maelle's ending are haunting. So there you have it. We've explored both endings to Expedition 33 and decided on the best one. I'd love to hear what you thought of the ending. Do you agree with my choice, or are you on Team Maelle? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.